Welcome to Getting to Good Enough, a podcast to help you overcome perfectionism so you can do more of what you love. I'm Shannon Wilkinson, a life coach in Portland, Oregon, and I'm a recovering perfectionist who's trying to get to good enough.
And I'm Janine Adams, a certified professional organizer in St. Louis, and I'm lucky enough to be naturally good at good enough.
You really are lucky.
I know, honestly, I believe I'm very lucky.
I'm super excited to talk about what we're going to talk about today, Janine.
Well, that's good, Shannon. I always like it when you're excited. What is it that we're talking about today?
What is good enough?
Oh, right. It's a big question.
It is, and it's. I mean, it's one of those things that is simple but isn't always easy.
Right. Huh. Yes.
You act like you hadn't thought about it that way.
I hadn't. I'm sitting here thinking about it. Yeah, you're right. Seems like it should be easy, and I think it's easier for me than it is for you, but it isn't always easy.
Yeah, but the thing about it is that there are some tricks you can use, some ways that you can make it easier if good enough is something that you struggle with, knowing what is good enough.
Right. So hopefully we'll be able to help people get to good enough more easily by recognizing what good enough is.
Right. Well, and I think, one thing that came to mind is that it's very personal. Mm-hmm. What good enough is. Like my good enough may be very different than your good enough.
Right. And you're good enough for one thing or might be very different from your good enough for a different thing in your life.
It's true. Yeah.
It's not an all or nothing thing, that's for sure.
Right. So it would be so much easier if there was just like, this equals good enough. Okay, have fun.
And everybody would recognize it, and no one would ever question you. Yeah. Sadly, it doesn't work like that.
I know. How do you know when you're at good enough?
Well, I sort of know it when I see it, and I think it's really different for different things. So in my life, I spend a lot of time writing, for example, and if I'm writing an article for a national magazine, which I'm happy to say I've done recently, I am going to work really hard to make sure that it feels really good, maybe better than good enough. But if I'm sending you a text, I might not work that hard on it, right? Because it doesn't require that kind of attention. So sometimes you might have noticed my texts have typos in them. Sometimes I correct them in a subsequent text. But I'm reminded of this picture that I sent you a week ago, I think it was, when I was at a restaurant in St. Louis, and a local restaurant, and they had a printed menu like restaurants do, and everything was fine, but the logo for the restaurant was clearly a low resolution logo meant for a website, and then they blew it up, put it on the menu, and printed it and laminated it. And I'm thinking, wow, at what point did somebody think that was good enough? And what was your response to the text when I said, wow, somebody really embraced good enough? And what did you remember what you said?
I said something to the effect of, sometimes I think good enough isn't actually good enough.
Right. I think you said, like, in that case, I think good enough wasn't good enough. Yeah. And so I feel like I know good enough when I see it, and it's rare for me to, I think it's rare for me to, like, press send on something or publish or decide something's finished that I really feel isn't good enough. But part of that is perhaps my standard of what's good enough. So I have a well-honed standard of that. Maybe that's it.
For yourself.
Yeah. For myself.
Yeah. You know what, this just made me think of, and interestingly, it's about like decluttering or organizing in my own life. I would often get caught up because I'd want to say, organize my closet, and I have drawers in my closet, but I would get so caught up on getting one part of it right that I wouldn't do the whole thing. Or I'd run out of time or energy or whatever, instead of doing sort of an overall good enough job at it. I would do one part really, really well, and then the rest would still look like crap.
Right, and be less functional as well, probably.
Yeah. But that came to mind because I was thinking about, the different ways that good enough shows up in my life, and where I've chosen to, or perhaps been forced to, embrace it. And that one of the things is in the sort of the cleanliness and orderliness of my home, which has changed a lot over time from living by myself, where I'm 100% responsible for both the cleanliness and the messiness, to living with my husband and 3 teenagers, where there are a lot of people that are contributing to the messiness and perhaps not so much the cleanliness. But also when they are cleaning, the kids do the dishes after dinner every night, that to have a good enough standard for them doing the dishes, which may be different than what's my good enough standard for me doing the dishes.
Right, because you want them to continue doing the dishes. And if you are constantly harping on them or correcting them or redoing it, I would imagine that would discourage them from wanting to help with the dishes, or to at least to do it, for them to do it happily.
Right. So, what that results in is that, there are plenty of times where we might ask them to come back and do something over, or do something they forgot. It's mostly on the range of, would we be embarrassed if company came over, and or are we going to get botulism? So,
which one of those two things is more important, by the way?
Well, I really don't want to get botulism, but I'm pretty sure we're not going to. And if, they wash a pan and they don't do that great of a job, I've been known to wash stuff before I use it.
Right.
So they want to use a grimy pan that they made mac and cheese in to make mac and cheese in again. That's fine. That's on them. But if I'm going to use it again, I might wash it. Right. But if there's an actual noodle still on it, they need to clean that up.
Right. You've got some standards, but good enough has definitely changed. Because I remember I visited you at your apartment or house when you lived alone, and it was neat as a pin, except for my crap, which was all over the place when I visited. So I know you keep a very nice house, and I've been to your home since you got married and live with teenagers, and it's also very, very acceptable beyond that, well above acceptable, and I've never noticed a problem with cleanliness. But it is a little more, has more stuff in it than when you were by yourself, of course.
Yeah. And it's been interesting process for me to let go of that, because it was frankly really stressful to begin with, to figure out how to deal with other people's standards in that situation, and to get it. The less I care, the less energy it takes. So,
right. Oh, I think that's a perfect example. I mean, that's really smart. Right. And the less you care, the less you care. The less important it is.
Right. Yeah. Right. Well, and I think that's one of the ways to think about how to set your own good enough standards or recognize your own good enough standards. And this gets back to what you're talking about. A context is like, and I think this is where I started with this whole thing about cleaning was, if I want the kitchen clean and I spend all my energy scrubbing, that weird black stuff that gets on the stove that is so hard to get rid of. If I spend all my time doing that and then the rest of the kitchen doesn't get clean, then I'm not meeting my objective if my objective is to have a kitchen that I'm comfortable having guests in or that I'm comfortable cooking in. That you can cook with that black stuff on your stove. Like nothing's touching it. It's sort of a visual thing. Like, nothing's growing in it. Nothing's touching it. It's not a big deal. So it's far more important to do a more thorough job cleaning your counters or, wiping down your table than it is to spend extra time scrubbing the stove.
Right, and I would argue that even if you want to take that extra time, even if you have more time, you have enough time to scrub the stove and wash the counter, there's other things you might want to do with that time, like listen to the Hamilton soundtrack while watching videos of Hamilton.
Oh, I thought you were going to say listening to a podcast.
Oh, see, no, I wish I were a better marketer.
Come on, Janine, get with it.
Because you can listen to a podcast or Hamilton soundtrack actually while you're scrubbing that stuff, can't you? I was thinking of how I park myself in front of my computer and find everything I can on YouTube about Hamilton.
And then just go through it and let it keep bringing new stuff to you.
Yeah,
Is that one of your rewards?
No, it would be good if I considered it one of my rewards. That's a very good idea. Instead, I just do it when I should be doing other things.
Oh, so that's how you procrastinate.
Yeah, sometimes. But now I'm going to reframe that.
Yeah, maybe put it on your reward list.
Yeah, excellent.
But yeah, the thing about the context is, we all have only so much time and energy. So what really matters to you?
Right.
Is the stove as important as, getting a blog post written?
Right.
Or is the stove as important as playing with my new kitten?
Nothing's as important as playing with your new kitten.
I know. She's really adorable.
She is. The videos are amazing.
Follow me on social media if you want to see videos of Cleo.
Yeah, people do it. She is so cute. I mean, I showed them to Barry, my husband, because they're just so dang cute. Yeah. I want to also say that I just want to go back to that important point that you made, that it's not just about time, it's also about emotions. And when you can make yourself not care about things not being perfect, your life is easier, potentially.
Yeah. Well, and that is how, one of the ways that I did it is I would ask myself, what's the most important thing here? And one is to have a good relationship with my kids, and two is to help them have skills that will support them later on in their life, and three is to have a clean kitchen.
Right. In that order. That's excellent.
Yeah. So, I would remind myself when I'd be like, there's crumbs all over the counter and they said they cleaned the kitchen, and it'd be like, does that really matter? Like, that's not enough to be like, hey, get back in there and do it.
Right.
So because my relationship is more important, and it's good enough, and if I really care, I can take a second to wipe off the counter a little bit better.
Right. And I think this is really pertinent. It makes me think about the people I speak with who who are living with people whose standards for clutter are different than theirs. And it can be really hard on a marriage. And I get asked advice when I do speaking gigs and stuff. And I frequently will say, this is a question for a marriage counselor, not for me. But I often try to encourage people to loosen their standards and remember that their relationship is more important than stuff. And see if they can come to some common ground.
Right. I think that's really important is the common ground. And it's really hard, though, when you're both coming from a place where it feels like your standard of good enough is what's right and reasonable.
Right.
When the other person is like, no, that's actually completely unreasonable.
Right. Then I guess you work on the art of compromise, right? And have your standards. Yeah. One person's standards for certain things take precedence, and other person's standards for other things take precedence, perhaps.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You really have quite a thunderstorm going on there.
Oh, you can hear it? It really doesn't seem that compared to what we get here. I'm sure it's getting get worse while we're talking. But, yeah. And they come and go pretty fast, so hopefully it will swing through. It's not as loud as the lawnmower from the other episode, I hope.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not, I don't think.
Okay, good. It doesn't seem
Although I had someone who only listened to part of it and hadn't heard the reveal about it being a lawnmower yet. And was like, what is that noise? Like, you have to listen to the rest of the episode. I'm not telling you.
Was that person worried about our production values?
I think so. Or they thought that like someone was like running a NutriBullet in the background or something. And like, I think I actually was recording in my kitchen on that day. So it's quite possible that, someone could have come in and done something like that. But
because you live with teenagers.
Yeah. Right. Who are known on occasion to use the NutriBullet.
Right.
You never know when you need a smoothie.
That's right. And smoothies are important. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I think that would be interesting to spend a little bit of time on is why understanding your standard of good enough is important. That, and I think you talked about this a little bit in a previous episode about the extra energy that gets expended to try and get something perfect.
Right, and how it rarely pays off.
Yeah.
It's usually not worth that extra effort to go from great to amazing or perfect. So, I think that is, well, that's the whole premise of our podcast, isn't it? That it's important to know, to get to good enough and embrace that. And so knowing what that means for us is a big part of it. Right.
Right. And that's, to go back to those examples that I've been harping on, that, getting the stove perfect, quote unquote perfect, like, it's going to get dirty again. And it takes so much more effort to get like the worst of it cleaned up than it does to do a good enough job. And everybody knows what that stuff is. No one knows what it is, but everybody has it.
Right. And I'm not the one who cleans the stove in my house, which is not surprising probably. And I don't even know what you're talking about. But I believe you. I'm sure I have it. I just don't.
Well, before you do the show notes, I want you to go look at it and then put a comment in the show notes so you understand now what we're talking about, what I'm talking about.
I'll take a picture of what I think it is, and you can tell me if that's what it is. You've been in my kitchen, so I'm sure I have it. I'm sure you know I have it. I just don't pay attention.
You know what? I have no idea because I don't care.
Right. You're not looking for it in my house, right? That's
sort of the other part of it is that, I I don't do this anymore, although sometimes it is really satisfying to like really get in there. But I don't care if, if there's cooked on gunk on someone's stove. Like if it's, because it happens and whatever, like someone's cooking for me. Awesome. I'm down with that.
Right.
I'm not picky unless I might get botulism, but there's other things that help me decide whether that's a worry or not.
Right. Yeah. So I will check it before I write the show notes. Absolutely. One of the things that I have to stop myself doing sometimes when I'm when I'm making purchases, right? Like if I'm buying a big ticket item, if I'm buying a car, I put a lot of research in it, and to me that's that makes a lot of sense. It's a big purchase, but if I'm buying something small, I still might research the heck out of it and take all this time. Or just today, we were making a purchase for a couple of plates to put under the dog's dishes. And my husband sent me 2 links on Amazon. He said, these look identical. I don't know why this one is more expensive than that one. And I said, well, I see no reason for this one to be more expensive, so buy the less expensive one. But he was really willing to put some research into why one of them identical was. But I had to turn the whole thing over to him because he was getting perfectionistic about it. Yeah. So that was fine if he wanted to spend his time doing that. But so I'll do that. Like I'll just look and look and look, and it's not worth the time off usually. I might save a few dollars, but usually not even that. How about you? Do you do that?
Well, that is something that I'm really happy to say I don't struggle with anymore, but it used to be a big problem for me. Like that was one of my huge issues of perfectionism, was trying to make the right decision, make the best decision. And I would research, and so often I would spend so much time researching that it would just become overwhelming, and I couldn't decide, and then I just wouldn't do anything. Or I'd just be like, chuck it all and just get something and then be disappointed because it wasn't really what I wanted. And one of the ways I did that is I got in the habit of setting up parameters ahead of time. Like, what is most important to me? What are the 2 or 3 things that I need this item to do? What's most important to me about this? And how much time am I going to give myself to research it? Or how many reviews do I want to look at before I make a decision? And it's sort of like what we did with the app, it's not really software, but the app that we're using for our podcast is we figured out what was important to us, which was to let it be easy, and that to us meant that it could do everything that we needed it to do rather than having to have like 3 separate apps that we were using. And then we found one that met that, and it worked, and that was good. Right. And so we went with it. And that's how I make a lot of my decisions now.
Oh, that's so smart. I mean, there's no point in comparing every single feature of an item if some of the features you don't care about or don't matter to you. Right. Yeah. So you'll say to yourself, okay, these are the things that are important, and I'm going to look at 4 reviews, and then I'm going to make a decision. Is that how it works?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, that's way less angsty than just waiting till you're fed up, which is what I tend to do.
Well, and the other thing that helped me is I thought about my hourly rate. And especially when like trying to find a better value, like, trying to find the lowest price or something like that. And I think, well, it's worth looking for 5 minutes, but it's not worth looking for an hour, because I'm not going to save enough money to match my hourly rate that I'm wasting on looking for, to save myself $10.
Right. Right. And a strategy that I've come up with through the years, for especially if you're buying things like electronics or computer-related things, is to just ask you what you have, and then I buy it.
Yeah.
So I look around my office. That's what I have. I just have stuff that you have. You used to do all the research. Now maybe I need to rethink that.
Yeah,
now that I know you don't research so much.
You need to ask Mike, maybe, because he's still a big researcher.
Yeah,
my
there
husband.
We go. Right.
Yeah, but and sometimes he'll be shocked because I'm trying to think of like something that I bought recently. I got a new iPad, and I wanted an iPad that I could use the Apple Pencil with, because I really like handwriting in my notebook, as we talked about in our task management episode, but it was getting harder for me to be able to access it. And so I have another friend who was extolling the joys of using her iPad and Apple Pencil as a notepad, and she got me all fired up about it. But I had been reluctant to get one because I didn't want to spend the money on an iPad Pro. But I did a little research. I found out that the newest iPad uses the pencil. I looked at 2 places where I thought might have a good price. I found the best price and I bought it. Like, I didn't spend a lot of time thinking like, oh, should I get the iPad Pro or the regular iPad or the bigger one, or it was just like I wanted something that would fit in my bag and that I could use the pencil with.
Right. You had two criteria that needed to be fulfilled.
Yep.
Yeah. Out of all the things that an iPad does, those are the things that you knew you wanted, so you found the one that did those things. Yeah. That's excellent. And do you love it, by the way?
I do love it.
Okay, I'm glad.
I love it. Yeah. And I do. It's nice because so often I find myself wanting to take notes but not having my notebook with me, and so I can just write on it, and Apple makes it super easy. And oh my God, this is the most amazing thing. I can handwrite a note, save it to Evernote, and Evernote, I can search it. My handwriting.
It is. You can do that with scanned items in Evernote too, but it really is amazing.
But my handwriting.
No, I mean handwritten, scanned. I scan things and I can search them in Evernote. Handwritten.
Right.
Yeah. So just so you know, it's not limited to your Apple Pencil stuff. It's
no, I know.
Evernote is just amazing that way. It's amazing. It's like the future is here. Right?
We are living the future.
When you and I met, we never would have imagined such a thing.
No. That's so true.
Yeah, it's kind of scary, but true. Yeah.
Because I think we met on a Yahoo group. Do they even exist anymore?
I don't know. Yeah. It was, I'm thinking it was pre-Yahoo group, but yeah. I think it was a listserv, wasn't it? But it doesn't matter.
Right.
So that's a great example, Shannon, of letting it be easy to buy a new piece of technology, and that's not a small purchase. So good for you. And now, of course, I want one. Thanks.
I know. I'm sorry I brought it up. I think I had previously promised not to talk to you about it, and then I just broke my promise.
Yeah, but I was the one who asked you if you like it. It's my fault. But I'm sure when I see it, when I try it out, next time I see you, I will be making plans to buy one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And just so no one else has to spend the time to do it, if you have a Costco membership, get it at Costco.
Oh, jeez. I can't think about it.
Don't get it at Costco. It's horrible. I just said this for the podcast. You would hate it, Janine.
Right, I'd hate it.
You really, really would.
Yeah.
But so back to the decision making, that has been huge. And when I take the time to upfront identify what's most important to me about my decision, then I'm also more satisfied with my decision.
Yes.
Like I don't have Breyer's regret about ice cream. Buyer's regret. I just am more satisfied and more content.
And less aggravated in general because you haven't spent all this time doing the over-researching it.
Right.
Or giving up because you over-researched it to the point where you're overwhelmed. Yeah, I think that's great advice. That knowing, I mean, that's the theme here. Figure out what you want. What's important to you, I mean. Figure out what's important to you.
Which also is what you want.
Well, right. I actually had jotted it down, but I couldn't read my handwriting.
So in this case, your handwriting was not good enough.
It was not good enough. It was shorthand, and I can read it now. I just glanced.
Oh, I forgot you know shorthand.
Yeah, but it looked like what you want for a second.
Because you straddled the divide between the future and the ancient ways.
Yes, I do, and I'm proud of it.
But in all seriousness, that brings up a good point of how do you know something's good enough is, does it meet your needs? So in that case, that wasn't good enough because you couldn't read it later.
At a glance, I can read it just fine.
Right.
It's a perfectly good shorthand. And I can read it years later. But in this case, I just misinterpreted it. But no, you're right. You're right, though. It doesn't meet your needs. It's definitely a good criterion. And I would argue that Italian restaurant's low-res logo did not meet their needs if their needs included looking professional.
Right. Yeah. Well, but you know what? How long have they been in business?
I don't know. Probably a long time.
Yeah.
But I bet it's a relatively new menu. I don't know.
But my point is that the menu probably doesn't have anything to do with whether or not they're going to stay in business.
Right. It may have something to do with whether I go back. But
yeah.
I'm not going to keep them afloat. And that's not the only reason I wouldn't go back.
Right. Well, there's that. But, so, like, I would find that you sent me that picture and when I expanded it to look at it, because I couldn't see, I'm like, why'd you send me a blurry picture? And then I realized that it was just, what's that called? Oh, pixelated, because it had been blown up to such a high resolution it was such a low resolution graphic made way too big for the resolution that it was in.
Right.
But yeah, so I think that those are, is there anything else you want to talk about this? I mean,
I feel like we've covered it. I hope it's useful. So no, I don't have anything I want to add, I don't think, except try to embrace your standards, and that your standards might change depending on the thing that you're doing.
Right.
The importance of the...
So that's your takeaway?
That's my takeaway.
Excellent.
And what's your takeaway?
I think my takeaway is to think about what's most important to you. If this is something that you really struggle with and spend a lot of time, energy on trying to make things perfect, to consider your standards up front and to your criteria for what good enough is and what's most important to you about that, and pick 1, 2, maybe 3 things that are important to you with the project or the decision or whatever it is that you're doing, and stick with those so that you don't get caught up in other things as you go along, so that you can get in the habit of good enough.
Right, and let it be easy.
Yes. Yep. And we go back to our first episode title all the time. The whole point of this is done is better than perfect.
Right. Absolutely.
So if not understanding what good enough means to you is keeping you from finishing things or even starting things, then getting clear on that up front will help you move forward.
Hear, hear.
All right. So please take a moment and rate and or review us on your podcast provider of choice, iTunes or Google Podcasts, or wherever you get them, or wherever you're finding us. And you can find us online at gettingtogoodenough.com. We'd love to hear from you either on our website or through social media. We're on Instagram at gettingtogoodenough. We're on Twitter at GTGEnough. And where else are we? Facebook.
We're on
We have a Facebook group.
With still no profile pic, but cover photo, whatever it's called. But one of these days we'll do that.
Yes.
So it's a Facebook group that you could just search on Getting to Good Enough, and I think you'll find us.
Yes. So thanks for listening. Until next time, I'm Shannon Wilkinson in Portland, Oregon.
And I'm Janine Adams in St. Louis, Missouri.
And we hope that you're getting to good enough too.